What's going on, Disc Golf fam? Today we're going to talk about some form. I'm tired of being an average golfer. I want to be better. I want to throw farther. Isn't that just so goddamn relatable? This is what I'm doing to be better. Figured it was worth sharing. So here on the screen, I have two throws. I'm going to play them here a little bit while I'm talking. The throw on the left in the black is this week. The throw on the right in the tie-dye is from a couple months ago, midsummer. The one in the tie-dye, on that day, I was bombing it. I threw really, really far. To give you an idea of the distances we're talking about, when I am on point, when I am loose and my mechanics are good and I'm throwing far, I'm throwing between 380 and 430 is my range. When I'm not throwing good, my typical day, I'm throwing between maybe 320, 330 to about 375. And the difference between, throwing 330 and 400 is so subtle. It's pretty easy to go from like 200 to 300. It's really difficult to add those. An extra 25 feet each time is so hard. And I've been infuriated with the fact that some days it works, some days it doesn't work. So I'm doing all sorts of things involving like stretching and exercising and mobility. And then some mechanic stuff. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to break this down a little bit. And I'm going to tell you what I think I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong in these videos. And we're going to focus on my pull through, my bracing, and my overall balance in the throw. So we'll start at the bottom. Let's look at my feet. Now, it's hard to tell, but in the tie-dye one, if we go from my foot to my head, we have a real nice straight line. I'm really bracing. If we go on in the black from my foot to my head, it's not quite the same, right? And then if we go ahead into the throw, it just doesn't. You could tell in the tie-dye that I throw my weight forward into that plant foot, and then I spin off of that. On the in the black, it just something about it looks a little bit funky right here, especially when I get about here. We have this going on right here with the body, which is just telling me that I'm not using the momentum correctly. Because what you're doing when you're throwing is you're taking forward momentum and you have to turn that into rotational momentum. So that's why this what you see in the tie-dye with this brace, how you bring your weight into that stomp. Think about a pole vaulter, right? They're running with the pole, it hits the ground, and then all that tension builds and yanks them up. So you're doing essentially the same thing. So that's one issue I think I'm doing wrong there. If we move back a little bit more, I think another one is just generally my feet. So in the tie-dye here, look at the distance between my feet versus the distance between my feet in black. It is not the same, right? Also, it's hard to tell from this profile, but it looks like in the tie-dye one, my front foot is definitely farther forward. And by forward, I mean forward relative to your chest than it is in the black. In the black, my feet seem fairly parallel. And in relation to that, let's see, in the tie-dye one, my hips versus my hips in the black one. In this black one, both of these ones were at the peak of my pull-through. In the tie-dye one, my hips are actually cocked a little bit toward the target, which means I'm building tension, to where in the black one, my hips are parallel, which means I'm not going to be able to use my hips, right? If we go forward, the interesting thing is at this point, well, obviously the timing's a little bit off. In the black one, when I release my throw, my hips have really come around. And in the yellow one, my hips seem to come around Not quite as much. So it seems like what I'm doing good now is I'm actually getting my hips into it, although I didn't start them far enough back to where on the tie-dye one, I threw my hips a lot, but perhaps it was early or late. This is, I'm not here saying I know what I'm doing wrong. This is me like in real time trying to figure out like what the heck is happening, right? So bear with me. So I think I need to keep my front foot forward from my back foot. I need to keep my hips cocked a little bit back from the target, and then I need to, which was good stuff I did in tie dye, and I need to throw them as much as I'm throwing. I need to lead with the hips. You know, the feet plant, the hips turn. That builds tension. Like if you're just sitting here, turn your hips toward the target. You could feel that tension in your spine where that's you could throw that tension from the hips into the shoulders and then obviously into the power pocket. Now let's go into the arm. Now this is my big problem. This has been my problem forever. We're going to go to the black one first. All right, so I'm going to make a marker on my reach back. I'll do the same thing on the tie-dye one. I'm going to make a marker on my release. That was kind of bad. And then a marker where the disc exits the frame. I'll do the same thing in the tie-dye. And then I'm going to draw a line between where I released the disc and where I started the disc on both sides. Right, like that. So this is kind of dictating, kind of pointing out where my pull through should be. Then I'm going to point out where I really suck at disc golf. At the peak of my pull through here, I'm going to mark it. We're looking at the black guy now. I'm going to create this triangle. So look at this garbage. God, and it even goes down and then up. Make a marker there. We're going to do that line here, here, and then I'm actually going to make a line to where the disc flies out of my hand, right? So we're getting a lot of lines here in the black. So look, so what's so important here is that last little, literally this, where your wrist and arm are and this last little bit of trajectory is where the disc goes. And my problem here, we're still looking at the guy in the black, is if you see me here, I look great. Bad. Really bad. And then good. So my problem, this right here, these frames, these 4 frames is the problem. This is my problem. Look at the disc angle, right? It's like, we'll go back. It's flat. It's good. I get to here. It's super nose down. It's super hyzered. More nose down. More nose down. Really nose down. Going from hyzer to flat. And then, this, I'm telling you, this right here, for me, is where I'm losing everything. This is going to be an air bounce, which is going to lose a lot of power. It's going to keep the disc nose up. I'm not going to get any distance out of it. That is bad. Terrible. Let's go switch over to the tie-dye day. Go over here, and we'll do the same thing. And lo and behold, look at me making the same freaking problem. We'll talk about my shoulder height in a minute. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make this triangle. And we're looking at tie-dye now. So what's good about tie-dye is from the pocket to release is great. I'm not wobbling the disc. I'm not going nose down. I'm not like going from hyzer to less hyzer. That's great. But the problem is I'm still going from where I start my motion and pulling up, which is horrible. My hypothesis, and I've talked to some people, is I think the problem is I tighten my pec. So if you hold your arm in front of you, like in your power pocket, and tighten your pec muscle, it drops the elbow down. Now, why would that happen? I think that what I'm doing is I'm getting too tense too quick. You're not throwing it. I have a baseball background where in baseball you're driving from here, right? In disc golf, you're staying loose. You're transferring that forward motion into rotational motion through the knees, through the hips, through the shoulder, into the arm. This should stay nice and loose. You shouldn't be tight until you're in the power pocket. The fact that my arm is dipping before I'm in the power pocket, which this is your power pocket, means I think I am getting too tense, too quick, which tightens the pec, pulls the disc up, gives me that air bounce, and just screws the pooch on everything. So that's a problem that I need to fix, and I've been trying to fix it, and I think it's better, and then I record myself, and it's not better. So that's my biggest problem. And then the last issue is the shoulder to the body. So let's go back over to the black guy real quick, and let's see if I can get some of these lines out of here. Let's just say, okay, we're going to go torso, shoulders, arm. Let's just make it edge of my body. So like this is the edge of my body, this is my arm, right? Let's go over to tie-dye. We're going to have to come forward a little bit to make this sense. And we're going to go shoulders, torso, shoulder, edge of the body. So we're talking about this angle. So in the black guy, my elbow is low. My elbow is really, really low. If I look at the tie-dye one, when I pull through, my elbow it's higher. So it's more, my bicep upper arm is more parallel to the ground. Maybe it's maybe it's only 20 degrees off the ground, to where I look at the black throw, and my upper arm bicep is more like 45, 50 degrees, 60 degrees down toward the floor. So that's a problem. The issue with disc golf is that you're supposed to change your angle by changing your body angle, not by changing your arm angle or your wrist angle, but there's people do it different ways. But if you stand in front of you, right, take your power pocket, right, move your arm below you. I'm actually going to go and make myself a little bigger on the screen here real quick. Okay, so if you take your arm in front of you, right, and you kind of go like this, like you're trying to find that power pocket, you can start with your angle low and then come up. And as you do it, you can find that at a certain angle, you're really creating a good amount of tension. If the angle here between your body and your shoulder is low, you really can't get as much. And if we're talking about taking forward momentum into rotational momentum, right, you actually want it to be out and forward and bring the weight in. So keeping your arm low is not, you're not taking advantage of the centripetal force as you would as if your arm was, if your elbow was higher, elevated from your body. So that is another thing that I think I am not quite doing correctly. Let me just make myself small again here on the screen. All right, we'll go back to the video. And then lastly, this is a big problem for a lot of people. I'm going to get rid of some of these lines. So again, you want to take forward momentum into rotational momentum, right? So we're going to go back, and we got this, I'm the black guy. Oh, hold on. We're bracing forward. On the tie-dye guy, we're bracing forward. at the peak of my power pocket here on tie-dye, my weight seems to be like this is what you want. So much straight. My weight, my angle is a little bit forward. If I look at me in the black, and we make that same, say we're going from the center of our weight, and I look at me in the black, look how much farther forward my torso is, right? So think about the pole vaulting analogy again, right? They take the pole vault, you stick it in the ground, it bends, it has that like rubber band effect where it throws you forward, right? Say, if it's the same idea, your leg, if your whole body is acting like that pole vault, you plant with your front leg, right? The tension goes through your knees and it has to stop in your hips. If your shoulders come forward, right? Forward, you're losing rotational weight. Your lower half stops the forward momentum, translates that into rotation into your hips, builds tension in your shoulders, and then that gets into your arm. If when you plant your front foot, you are pivoting forward, you're losing so much momentum. So one thing that I'm doing good in the tie-dye is I'm staying centered and bringing more of that forward momentum into rotational momentum. And what I'm not doing so great in the black is the complete opposite. So what does this mean? These are the big takeaways. I need to keep my front foot forward than my back foot, right? I need to keep my hips a little more cocked from the target so I could generate that snap, right? I think I need to generally be lighter on my feet. Once I'm planted, I need to bring the hips around while keeping my center of gravity either centered or back from forward. I need to keep my elbow up with my shoulder and keep myself looser until I get into the power pocket to prevent myself from tightening the pec, bringing the arm up, and getting that air bounce and that twisting and all that other nonsense I'm doing. That's the hypothesis. That's what I'm going to try to do. I've been working on it. I'm going to continue to work on it. And I will probably make an update video if it gets any better. On top of this, I'm doing a lot of hip mobility and stretching and a bunch of random disc golf exercises, and I'm going to be speaking with some physical therapists to get their insights on what they think would be beneficial to this sort of mechanics, this type of body mechanics, and I will report back on that. I think ultimately I'm probably going to make a video which is my stretching and workout routine to be better at throwing farther and getting that snap, but I'm not going to do that until I've really done my due diligence. So thank you for watching. I hope this is insightful. And that's not to say the mistakes I'm making are the same mistakes you're making, because it's almost certainly not the case. But I hope this does help. If you want some help, let me know. Send me some video. I think I could do this and maybe help you identify some stuff. Although, I think I have pretty decent form. And when you have pretty decent form, I think getting this nitty picky about everything is where you're going to find gains. To where if your mechanics and form isn't that great, just general form tutorials may be better for you. Although, seeing it like this, visualizing it may be very beneficial for some people. So, is what it is. I thought this would be a cool video to make to show you what I'm working on. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you're seeing something here that I'm not seeing, and if you think this is helpful. Again, thank you for watching. Don't hit this first available next time you're out there. And this is Narpar Pro. Godspeed.